Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, we're going to take a look at this photo. And as it says right here, a new Milky Way photo captures 1 billion stars. 1 billion stars. Can you imagine all the planets that are out there? Just in this one section of our galaxy. Incredible. So, you gotta think there's more out there than just us. And there's so much evidence in the past, and we've talked about a lot of the old time evidence, going into things like Ezekiel's wheel, going into all the artifacts that we have seen, so many different myths and legends, as we were talking about the Hopi, how they talk about the star beings that came down and taught us. And we see the same thing with the Zulu as well, and so many different cultures all around the world. Everywhere you look, there's legends of these star beings. And of course, we have the modern abduction phenomenon, the modern UFO phenomenon, but it goes back into the deepest history that we know of. And of course, there's been a major cover-up going on. So there must be a lot of different civilizations out there. And then in modern ufology, there's so many people coming forward that are talking about them in depth, and a lot of them are actual public figures. So, there probably are beings out there like have been described countless times. And many of you know some of them by name, like the Zeta Reticulans, the Nordic type of aliens, reptilians, Andromedans, Arcturians, the Draco, the infamous Draco. There's all sorts of ET species that we've talked about, we've heard about, reported. And there's so much information out there and a lot of first-hand experiences. If you guys remember Admiral Byrd's encounter, very, very interesting. For one, Admiral Byrd supposedly found an entrance into inner Earth. And so that is something in and of itself that's really, really fascinating, because we could get into that inner Earth theory, and we have talked about it before. Supposedly there's all sorts of civilizations on the inside of the planet. And of course, you look at all of our mythologies as well. They all refer to that as well. So, perhaps we have a lot of things going on. Perhaps we have extraterrestrials, beings that do not originate from Earth, that are visiting us and have been visiting us. Perhaps we have interdimensionals, and I'm a big believer in that. They're beings that are able to change dimensions at will, to kind of drop into ours and then to vibrate up and out of again. And so they've mastered that art or technology. And then perhaps we also have inner Earth beings going on as well, and perhaps some of them are actually terrestrial. They've been here the whole time, but they just went inside the Earth because perhaps of the great cataclysms that happen normally and regularly on the surface every maybe 11, 12,000 years, as is one of the current thoughts. So Admiral Byrd not only supposedly discovered an entrance into inner Earth, but also went down into Antarctica to basically, according to the line of thought of many, take care of the Nazis that were down there. And the Nazis escaped, many of them escaped from Germany to Argentina and South America, but then also established a base in Antarctica as well. And we're still pursuing advanced technology that was given to them by a group of, extraterrestrials. And so they had actually developed flying saucers. And so when Admiral Byrd went down there to kick butt, he got his butt kicked. And as you see here, members of the expedition that went down there, and experienced Air Force pilot John Sayerson remembers, the flying saucers, were jumping out of the water like crazy and flew between masts of the warships at such speeds that streams of indignant air tore radio antennas. The technology was so superior that they inflicted damage enough to basically have Admiral Byrd go limping back home with his tail between his legs. And again, this is information that was supposedly given to the Nazis by these beings. And subsequently, a lot of people believe that, while Germany lost the war, the Nazis really didn't. Because a lot of the German scientists and everything were brought into the U.S., some brought into Russia as well, and some even achieved the highest spots possible in NASA and many of the other agencies and organizations as well. And so very, very interesting. And then we have all these people coming out and confirming a lot of things and really disclosing a lot. As you see here, U.S. Delta forces fought with aliens in underground battle in New Mexico. And so say a witness. So American special forces engaged in massive firefight with aliens who had established a base deep below New Mexico desert. And this is in Dulce, and this is Phil Schneider. And so, unfortunately, he's no longer with us, as is the case with a lot of the whistleblowers that have come out, as we'll see. So as many as 60 soldiers and civilians were killed. And according to John Lear's, it was mostly scientists and soldiers, were killed as an extraterrestrial, well, they're saying as extraterrestrial greys. Some reports say it was just one single gray alien, armed with plasma guns, went toe-to-toe with Delta forces in the so-called Dulce battle. And so jaw-dropping revelations were made by civil engineer called Phil Schneider, who worked on secret military projects near deep underground base in Dulce, New Mexico. And Mr. Schneider, whose dad Philip was involved with the development of the early atomic bomb, said he was made to sign official secret documents, but later went on to reveal that the American military was working with an alien race of greys, building joint subterranean bases. Gray aliens, also referred to as Zeta Reticulans, Roswell Greys, or Greys, have become the accepted face of aliens on Earth. Almost half of all alien sightings claim in the USA to refer to this type of alien. So they seem to be the dominant one that we see. And it's interesting because the sightings do differ according to the country and location. And that gets me thinking about what we talked about before with Deuteronomy 32:8, where God divides the nation according to the sons of God, or sons of the gods. And so, again, are we referring to these extraterrestrial beings and the fact that different ET races control different nations? And perhaps that's why there is also a lot of the wars going on here. As we looked at the Anunnaki gods, the belief that they actually lived in their temples. They were right there. And they were the commanders of the armies, because they had armies full of humans as well. And humans would fight alongside and be directed by them. And when we look at the book of Joshua and stuff, and you see, the God of the Old Testament directing Joshua to go in and wipe out tribe after tribe and exterminate everybody and take all their silver and gold and take their, everything that's of worth and put everybody else to the sword. It just seems like all this seems to make more sense if you are talking about, different species of ETs in competition with each other, and maybe different species of IDs, interdimensionals, as well in competition with each other. And so, Phil Schneider did die, and many think that there was nefarious things going on there. And so this is Stephen Greer, and the statement here is 3 people from my team, including ex-CIA director, were assassinated, so says the ufologist. And talks of UFOs hovering in the skies have been exciting researchers and general public for decades. Are we being watched from above? Are we ready for encountering the unknown? So this is an interview with Stephen Greer, and he's been a big one getting out there about disclosure. And he's pretty well known. And, a very interesting read, and gets into a lot of the technologies as well. the fact that really the governments of the world are not really running things as well. There are secret governments, as we know, shadow governments, and that's part of the big thing. That's part of the real reality behind the scenes. Of course it gets discredited. Of course they're going to. And we were talking today in the video about, people being actually paid, and it's their job to be basically trolls and go and try to discredit things, put things down, and also get people yelling at each other, get people mad at each other, keep them divided, just like Tower of Babel. Look, they can't all be united. Look what they're going to do. They're, going to reach the stars, and we'll have to contend with them out there. So we got to stop that. We have to scatter them. We have to keep them divided and at war with each other. So as much as 65% of the public believes that there's intelligent life out there, and over 50% believes we have been visited or are being visited. And interestingly enough, that percentage is actually higher in other countries than the United States. So, Pentagon UFO Bombshell. Former defense minister claims the U.S. is storing alien UFO parts. Not only that, but the U.S. government's been in contact with extraterrestrials for years. And this is Paul Hellyer. And we've talked about him before. He was the minister, he was the Canadian Minister of Defense, right? So he's a high-ranking official. And he's saying that they're here. Do you think a Minister of Defense might have a idea, perhaps about the reality of extraterrestrials? Well, he says they're here, and they've been here a long time. And there's video there as well. Over here we see news agency claims Snowden documents prove aliens helped Hitler and currently control the U.S. government. And I tell you, I've seen more than one president, when he goes for that briefing, the first time that they are sworn in, they come out looking shaken to the core. Like somebody just told them something that was so shocking, their knees are still knocking, and they're just trying to smile and just downplay it. So, an Iranian news agency alleges that documents provided by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden prove that the alien extraterrestrial intelligence agenda is driving U.S. domestic and international policy, has been doing so at least since 1945. The FARS news agency asserts that the shadow alien government running in the United States is actually based in Nevada. Well, I've been bringing up to you guys, why is 86% of Nevada controlled by the government? That might make some sense. And we were also talking about, with the earth changes, so many of the earth change maps show Nevada totally underwater. But is that maybe not really the case? Because some people doubt the authenticity of like that famous Navy map as well. And if it was done by the Navy, maybe it was put out there for disinfo as well, right? I mean, we have to take that into consideration. So, interesting. So Nevada is actually where the shadow alien government is really running things. Interesting. So it's pretty fascinating stuff to think about, and we've seen this from more than one source. And then we have Bob Lazar, who claimed to work near that famous area, and have witnessed a lot of things, including advanced technology, aliens, you name it. Basically, again, just more people coming out that confirm that all this is real. And perhaps it's distorted. We got to give that. And then we have all these UFO sightings by astronauts who came straight out and said what they saw, that they saw something they can't explain. It wasn't us. Gordon Cooper is just one, Donald Slayton, Robert White, Joseph Walker, Eugene Cernan, Ed White, James McDivitt, James Lavelle, Frank Borman, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, Maurice Chatelain, Scott Carpenter. That's a lot of people. And of course, there's those that think that also all that happened basically in a Hollywood set. And then we have the Majestic 12 documents, and of course, the slant has been put that that was all just a hoax as well. But, don't you think they'd want to try to make it look like a hoax? And these are all basically about briefings of the president on the, reality of aliens and UFOs again. And this is the actual documents off the FBI website. So you guys could peek at that, and I'll give you all the links again as well. And then we have William Cooper. And so one of the most famous controversial books of all time, Behold the Pale Horse, in that he says all about that. He says that there are aliens here. They have been here. There's tons of extraterrestrial bases in the oceans. And, he claims to have witnessed a UFO coming up out of the ocean when he was in the Navy, and he saw it, and the technology, again, was so far advanced anything we had, and it's pretty fascinating stuff. And honestly, on a cruise, me and 3 other friends witnessed really what appeared to be exactly that, this lake coming up and out of the ocean, and this was off of the Bahamas, and we didn't have an explanation for it. It was just so bizarre. It wasn't a ship on waves. We were trying to figure out, is that just a ship going up on waves? But no, it came out and went up into the sky, and that was really unusual. And then we have John Lear, and so he's yet another one, and of course, he's of a very, very famous lineage. And the same thing, confirming the shadow government, confirming the extraterrestrial reality, the interdimensional reality, the technological reality that's going on as well. And, it's pretty wild stuff on the surface, but as you go deeper in, it all makes sense. And again, it gets into the secret government and the aliens working together in vast underground bases in New Mexico and Nevada, where they collect human and animal organs, and they make all sorts of hybrids. And so there's supposed to be so many different types of hybrids that are being created. And I've shared with you that I've been spending a lot of time with people that work on these bases, albeit very casually, at basically just playing pool and light conversations, trying to get some info out of them. And there's a lot of people there that work in these bases. There's a ton. And there's a lot more than meets the eye. This is something that's been going on forever, ever. I think in my opinion, it predates Homo sapiens sapiens for sure. It's way before modern day humans came on the scene on the planet. So my friends, I look forward to your comments on all this. As always, like, share, subscribe, click the bell, get all notifications, share, and try to spread the word out. And as always, my friends, God bless and namaste.